Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. I will now call to order the regular meeting of Town Council on Monday, February 4th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Council Chambers at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in the Visitor Information Center. Move to recording of attendance. I note that all members of Council are in attendance this evening. We'll move to looking for a motion to approve the agenda as written. Councillor Grew, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Bishop, thank you very much. All in favor of approving the agenda as written, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. I'll now look to disclosure of conflict of interest, if any. Seeing none, we'll just go quickly to the approval of the minutes of two previous meetings. We'll look for a motion to approve the special meeting of January the 14th, 2019, which was a special meeting of council to hear objections to amend the Princess Royal condominium development and I'll look for a second or a motion to that effect. Deputy Mayor, thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Grew. If there are no comments, all in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, those minutes are approved. Now we'll move to the minutes of the regular meeting of Council on January the 14th, 2019. Look for a motion to approve those minutes. Yeah. Yes, certainly.
On motion 19, it says the council actually registered an A vote. I did not.
So,
on motion 19, on the 1st of 19, it was moved by Councillor Gruel and seconded by Councillor Bishop that council deny for disbursement of the assistance grants to the St. John Theatre Company. Councillor actually registered an A vote. I did not.
okay, so that's an error. Mr. Spear, can we correct that, please? With that amendment, so we'll Councillor Grew?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have also an amendment.
Okay.
It's on motion 29. On motion 29, which is, it was passage of bylaw Z 19-01. It was an amendment to the zoning bylaw to permit nano breweries. I think we should be more explicit in the description there on the I guess the minutes. But with regards to that, there was two irregularities that I pointed out. The first one was that the two previous readings were done as bylaw Z 18-03, and this was the first reading of bylaw Z 1901. The second irregularity is that the two previous readings sought to change bylaw 10-04, but the third reading proposed to change a different bylaw, which was Z 18-01. And I would say, I mentioned at the meeting that given that these were substantive changes, it was questioned whether there was a need to return to the first reading. And our development officer, Alex Henderson, indicated that the legal opinion from the Regional Service Commission was that council could proceed with the third reading. And I think just to indicate that in our due diligence would be important.
Since we have a couple of changes to those minutes, should we defer those and we'll stand those down and we'll approve those at a subsequent date? And Mr. Spear, if we could make those modifications for council to look at?
We can, Your Worship. One thing I'd like to point out in regards to Councillor Spear's comments, which we took and included as a letter to the developer or the Regional Service Commission, was under the procedural bylaw, only the comments of a nay voter are supposed to be included. But if council is instructing me to add those, I certainly will. But that was kind of the reading at the time that because Councillor Grew did a positive vote that his comments couldn't be included in the current procedural bylaw. But I'll add them and table them to the next meeting.
All right, and return them, and we'll take a look at them before the next meeting. Thank you. Okay, so all in favor of tabling those, the approval of those minutes to incorporate those changes, please.
Your Worship, one other thing
Sorry?
If we could add to those minutes that I expressed my considerable frustration at the amount of time we were spent on the grant requests, and suggested other ways that we might do it next year that didn't take quite so much of our time, including perhaps staff recommendations or a subcommittee or some other way to spend our time on the grant request, since it takes so much time and we have so many other pressing issues.
Okay, so since we're talking about the minutes, are you?
I'd like the minutes to show.
Incorporated to show that?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
I recall. All right.
Thank you.
Same goes, Your Worship. I mean, I'll comply with council's wishes, but the minutes are only supposed to record comments. Well, I respect what he's saying. It's only the nay. So we just got to be careful that every time someone makes a comment, we're going to record them for all future motions, is my concern. But I will make that amendment.
Okay, thank you for this, and we'll discuss that at a later date, including that recommendation.
One more small.
Yes, okay. I did note that. The ghost of Dan Boyd.
He might have been in the,
He may well have been
back somewhere.
Okay, I think we'll strike that from the, he was clearly not here. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll go back to those minutes. All in favor of tabling those minutes for the changes that were suggested, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we'll table those minutes and deal with them at a later date. Okay. Thank you. I would now like to move to, we do have a presentation tonight, and I would like to move to Paul Delaney, who is here on behalf of, as Vice President of Katie's Cove Incorporated, to make a presentation about Katie's Cove and their plan. Yes.
Just for disclosure, I'd like to indicate to council that I'm a member of the board of directors of Katie's Cove Incorporated. And I've also been appointed as the president of Katie's Cove Incorporated. So just for a matter of disclosure, it's not going to come to a vote or anything tonight. So I don't think there's any reason for me to leave at this point, but I just want to disclose that fact to council.
Okay, this is an information presentation.
Correct.
Thank you for disclosing, Councillor Group. All right. All set. Thank you very much.
Okay, as the mayor said, my name's Paul Delaney. I'm a full-time resident of St. Andrews. I've lived here about 3 years.
Speak up, please.
Okay, sorry.
There's a microphone right there.
I don't know if it works or not. I'll speak up. Anyhow, I'm a full-time resident of St. Andrews. My name's Paul Delaney, and I have to thank the mayor and the council for giving me the opportunity to come in tonight and talk to you people about Katie's Cove. This is an information session, and I'm also a member of a nonprofit organization called Katie's Cove Incorporated. I'm the vice president, so I do work with Guy on this matter. So I have a short presentation at the back, and we're going to go through that. It's maybe 5 or 6 slides, and then if you guys can bear with me, at the end we can take a few questions. Though I'll say right now we don't have the answer to every question you might ask, because this is kind of a preliminary stage of this idea. So I guess we'll go into the background. I haven't lived here all my life, but obviously some of you people have, and you would know Katie's Cove very well. It's been a really important recreation facility for many decades here in the town, and I'm sure a lot of you grew up and you went swimming there, or your kids went swimming there. Thing is, though, recent years there's been a decline at Katie's Cove. It's not as good as it was years ago. The change building's been demolished. There's no lifeguards there. Trailers for washrooms. There's more algae in the cove, and the docks are deteriorating. And so it's going downhill, and it's kind of being neglected. So this is about an idea to turn this all around. So we've looked at it, and we'd like to do what we can to bring this back for St. Andrews. And we've looked at it with our little group, and Katie's Cove is going to take quite a bit of capital investment to repair what's been allowed to run down. If you go back a while ago, the town was operating this, and then when the hotel changed hands. The property went with the hotel, the Algonquin, so the town was no longer operating the beach, and the Algonquin didn't operate the beach either because they have this thing called the Marriott standard, and everything has to be done to an extremely high level of quality. So when they looked at Katie's Cove, there really wasn't a business case for them spending a large amount of money there. So everything just kind of languished for a period of 3 or 4 years, I guess. So we came up with an idea that why not take a look and see if there's any opportunity to bring Katie's Cove back and restore it and make it as good as or maybe better than it used to be. So in 2018 we approached the hotel and we had some meetings with them, and they were actually interested in the idea if a third party, our organization, could come along and sort of take and steer this project, and they were quite supportive of it. So once we had that original meeting and we sort of affirmed the Algonquin support, we actually went ahead and formed a non-profit company, Katie's Cove Incorporated. So right now there's 4 or 5 of us in it, and so we decided to proceed with our plan, and I guess we will go ahead one slide there. We decided to proceed with our plan, and we thought we would talk to the Algonquin and see about getting a lease. We didn't have any real money to start with. The Kiwanis Club was good enough to give us $7,000, and we used that to pay our incorporation fees and prepare a lease document. So the idea is we'll hopefully get a long-term lease, and then we'll be able to move ahead and repair this beach. So we worked out a lease, and we met back and forth with Algonquin, and right now the lease is with the Algonquin. They've got it, they're reviewing it, they're getting ready to sign it. So where we are at right now is if the Algonquin signs this, and I expect they will, then myself and my colleagues are going to move ahead and work on a business development plan, which will address the issues at Katie's Cove, and it's going to take a few years. We can't do it all at once. It's probably going to take us 3 or 4 or 5 years to move this facility back into a really good state. So I'll get you to change the slide. So right now we're waiting for them to sign the lease. We view our relationship with the Algonquin as a long-term project. We'd like this to be a long-term arrangement that Katie's Cove will operate for the foreseeable future. We talked to the hotel and they're all for it, but one of the things they said to us, and we hardly agree with, when we do this, admission to go into Katie's Cove is going to be free for everybody. So that kind of raises the question too, how are you going to pay for things if you're letting everybody in free? Well, I'll address that in a second. I guess the other thing I would say is we're going to do this right. We're going to make sure we obey all the town of St. Andrews bylaws. And okay, we'll slide ahead a slide there. So when you get into a business development plan, it's not always obvious what you should work on. And so what we did was a little bit of benchmarking. What I mean by benchmarking is we went to an organization in Fredericton that restored the Killarney Beach, and we've talked to these people. We may meet with them some more to see some of the hurdles that they encountered and some of the good ideas they had. And we're going to work on this plan, and hopefully by the end of March we'll have a draft business development plan for Katie's Cove done. We're not going to do this in secret. We are going to consult with the public. We want to see what the people in the town would like to see over there, what matters to the people in the town, what matters to the hotel, and we'll try to put something together that takes all those inputs. As I said earlier, we're going to not charge admission, so then the question comes: where are you going to get the funds to to restore Katie's Cove and make the improvements that we need to make. So we have some people in our group that are really good at approaching companies for funding, and we're going to make an active attempt to get some donations and some funds from some major corporations that are in the area. And we will not be borrowing any money. It'll strictly be funded by donations and things like that to do the capital improvements. We'll talk to the government, we'll talk to private donors, and we'll talk to the community. And I guess another thing that'll be happening soon, if this idea moves ahead, is we'll have to also get some environmental approvals, because if we're talking and doing anything to improve the beach at Katie's Cove, we're going to be near a waterway, so we'll need environmental approvals. Next slide, please. So why am I here tonight, and why am I talking to the town? Well, it's one thing to fix up Katie's Cove and make the necessary improvements. It's another thing to operate it. The town has operated Katie's Cove for a long time. The town has the knowledge, the expertise, the insurance. So for us, we really aren't in a position to be the people that would operate Katie's Cove day to day. We would like to offer that idea for consideration to the town to do the day-to-day operation, perhaps assume operation of the gates at Katie's Cove. They have to be open and closed during the season to flush out that bay. The town already has liability insurance, so it'd probably be easier for them to pick up Katie's Cove. Property tax, I mean, that's something we would like to talk about with the town. And we'd like to have a long-term relationship with the town on operating Katie's Cove. The hotel, ourselves, and the town of St. Andrews. And we want to make it viable. So, new slide. So to summarize where we're at, we envision a three-way partnership. The Algonquin provides the land with a long-term lease. And I'd have to check my numbers, but the lease is essentially $1. It's very, very cheap, because the Algonquin wants this to work. The town of St. Andrews would operate the gates and the beach. They've got the expertise, and they would do that under a long-term agreement or a memorandum of understanding. And Katie's Cove Incorporated, the company that I'm representing tonight, we're responsible for fundraising, developing the property through capital investments. Longer term, we'd like to see Katie's Cove Incorporated transition to a community-based organization. Right now, you know, the people that are in it may not be the people that are in it in 5 years. It may be other people that take an interest. We're more or less trying to get it started. The really good thing, I think, is, you know, Katie's Cove is going to be restored, and if we have our way, upgraded, may be better than it's been before. And the very end of the story of this is that the residents of St. Andrews are going to benefit. They're going to get free access to a high-quality destination beach, and the town benefits by having a new tourist venue. And you know, it's great for the kids, and I think it'll be really good for all of us. So that's our idea. More or less, that's where we're at. So I guess we're at a point where we can take questions. I'll warn you, I may not have the answer for every question, but we are certainly will be glad to have your questions. If we don't have an answer, we'll go away and we'll think about it. So the floor is open if anyone wants to ask.
We could take a couple of questions, but we're not going to be able to have a
Certainly.
lengthy discussion tonight. It's
Okay.
really meant to be a presentation, but certainly it's food for thought for council as well. We're going to have to go away and think about, you know, how we fit into this as well. So is there anybody that has a question?
Were
Certainly.
you aware that there was a group called Friends of Katie's Cove prior to this?
No, but to be honest with you, I've only lived in the town just under 3 years. There's a lot of things I don't know, or people I don't know.
So
Some of the other people now in our little group might know that.
I'm just saying, if it becomes a little more popular, then maybe.
Yeah. So I got room for one more question if anyone has one.
Yes.
If I may. Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. in addition to the presentation, thank you for putting energy in trying to rejuvenate this long-time town asset that really, to be honest, St. Andrews used to be a tourist attraction for the wealthy, and it was things like Katie's Cove that made it for everybody. And it's such an important part of the, I guess you could say, the character of this town. I don't want to speak for all of council, but my interpretation is over the last year and a half, we've kind of stepped back a little bit from Katie's Cove. And it's not necessarily a situation where we don't support Katie's Cove, or at least I don't. It's not that I don't support Katie's Cove. It's just that the town's been a Band-Aid solution for Katie's Cove for a number of years. And we don't actually own the property for anyone that's here. It's actually owned by the Algonquin Hotel, just to clarify that. But as we've operated as a Band-Aid solution, unfortunately, things like the washrooms and things weren't getting any investment. And it got to a point where, to be completely honest with you, it was a little embarrassing. And sometimes you have to do tough love. And I thought that this council more or less took a step back from it to say, we're not going to invest in it until somebody else comes in and really takes ownership of it and improves it. And I just want to say how delighted I am that you guys are getting together to do that, because that's, I think, the change we were hoping to see. So I guess you could say mission accomplished. It did say that it's a three-way partnership. I was wondering if there would be an opportunity for council to see that agreement with the Algonquin, just because if we're going to invest public dollars into it, I know in the long presentation it said that there was a 6-month clause where they could basically pull out. So before we went and made a big budgetary commitment to it, I'd like to make sure that it's everything as a town we need. So obviously the corporation represents that, and there's the Algonquin's interest, but if we're going to invest in it as a council, I think staff and council should have a little bit of input into the process as well.
I think we have to explore that, talk to the other people in the organization I'm in, and talk to the hotel, and get back to you on your request.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I too appreciate you being here, and again, I echo the Deputy Mayor's comments. I think it's time to, this could be a breakthrough, but we have to do our due diligence as a council to determine, you know, what we're putting the people of St. Andrews on the hook for if we jump into this this kind of an agreement. So thank you very much. All right. So we move on to staff reports, I believe. I don't think we have anyone from the RCMP with us tonight.
Your Worship, it's very difficult to hear any and all of you.
I don't know what the...
Your Worship, the microphones are hooked up to the PA system, that's just for the TV, so the only way to amplify is naturally through the...
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I'll yell. But yeah, there's a lot of background noise here too with the heating system. Yeah, it's overpowering us. Okay, I'll yell. Thank you. Yes.
We did have 2 items of communication last month. One about a bike pedal taxi, and another one about a food truck on the wharf, which is in our register items, which we had. So that's from our December. We had those in December, and they haven't come forward yet. So just want to point out that we did get those communications.
Those go on the register. We don't put every communication, every letter we get on the communication register, but we do, it should be on the register for next week's meeting.
So for next week, those folks could come, and we'll be discussing those items.
No, they have to make they have to request to make a presentation to council, if that's what they wish to do. The fact that they wrote in doesn't mean that they're going to make it necessarily.
Not
so
necessarily
we can check
make a
with
presentation, but it hasn't shown anywhere in our paperwork that we received those letters yet, and they came in December, and this is February.
They're not on the register, in other words. Is that what you're saying?
They're not on. No, they're not.
Not on the agenda.
Should it not come up under communication that we received requests, communications, letters from the public?
Well, that's not been the practice up until now, that every single representation or email from the public isn't always listed on
These weren't
communications.
emails from the public, Your Worship. They were letters
No,
addressed to
I'm
mayor
saying
and
that,
council.
but we would, communications.
Just want to let those folks know that.
Okay. I will...
So it'll be
Mr.
dealt with
Spear
next
will
month.
It'll be discussed next week at the registry.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to staff reports. I note that there is no one present from the RCMP this evening to bring forward that report, so I will move to Mr. Spear to bring the Chief Administrative Officer's report forward.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for the opportunity to report to you on behalf of town staff. The layout of this report aligns with the priority areas of the current municipal plan. Under Environment, Eastern Charlotte Waterways continued its work on the Climate Change Adaptation Plan, including holding 2 public forums in the 2nd and 3rd weeks of January. In total, approximately 65 people attended those sessions. If you are unable to attend, they are still seeking public input through an online survey at www.ecw.ngo/STA, or alternatively, look at our website or Facebook feed for the link, which is probably the easiest way. The survey will be open until February 25th for data collection. Concurrently, they are drafting the plan to present to the steering committee in the next couple of weeks and to present to council on February the 18th. We need to acknowledge our partners at the New Brunswick Department of Environment and Local Government who provided the funding for this to happen through the Environmental Trust Fund. As staff, we are eager to see the report to identify any vulnerable areas that could affect town infrastructure and incorporate that into the asset management policy to allow this and future councils to plan and budget accordingly. Heritage. With the acquisition of the courthouse and jail this past fall, council will need to discuss the future use of the courthouse. The Charlotte County Archives will continue to operate in the jail as we work with them to renew the lease to ensure the continued operation of this organization. As most of the community knows by now, the fascia bricks on one side of the Legion collapsed, and for safety reasons, the building will stop hosting public functions immediately as the members decide and how to proceed. In recognition of the service of the veterans and the work of the local cadet corps, there is a motion before council to provide meeting space at the arena to continue the meetings of the Legion. Culture and Recreation. The first meeting of the Cultural Asset Advisory Committee will be taking place in February. This group will be looking at not just facilities within the town, but look at programs, events, and possible collaborations in order to make suggestions to council on enhancing the opportunities for our community. Have you got the winter blues? There are a couple of events I'd like to bring to your attention from our own facilities. The Ross Memorial Library will be hosting Ralph Breaks the Internet on Tuesday, February the 12th at 6 p.m., so a week from tomorrow. This is a family-friendly movie that is not available for download or purchase yet, so if you missed the movie in the theaters, this would be a great opportunity to see it. The library also offers a weekly painter circle for local artists to get together and work independently on any medium. I'd also like to bring to the public's attention that Theatre New Brunswick will be presenting a play on March 23rd at the arena at 7:30 p.m. The community players are also aiming to perform a play in the spring. We have had an initial meeting with the tennis club to get their input on the refurbishment of the courts. As users with a passionate interest in the facility, not only have they provided valuable insight into upgrading the facility, they have also committed to fundraise $20,000 towards the project. Mayor and Council appreciate efforts like these that show the determination and passion of any organization who works collaboratively with the town towards the betterment of any of our facilities. We continue to work with the Trail Stakeholders Group, which provides an avenue for multiple players to work together to create a trail system that will connect our town to the Coastal Link Trail that connects to the rest of North America. This includes members from the Coastal Trail Link, Kiwanis, the Regional Service Commission, and other interested parties. The group hopes to provide recommendations to Council on how we can connect our trails to the Coastal Link and what infrastructure and signage would be ideal so that it matches with the rest of the system. General Land Use and Development. The Municipal Plan Steering Committee met on January 10th to provide feedback to the planners on the background study. In addition to a couple of recommendations on the draft report, The committee suggested that the Planning Commission begin the process of drafting an initial version of the updated municipal plan. Our planners, Alex Henderson and Xander Gopen, will be presenting the background study to council in March, and we'll be able to incorporate your feedback into the municipal plan. The Building Commission also had a draft building bylaw they'd like to present for your consideration. I'll forward a copy in the next couple of weeks, and we'll await instruction on how council would like to proceed. Infrastructure and services. It's been an unusual winter with not much snow, but a thaw-free cycle that puts a burden on the salt and sand budgets. The crew works diligently to make the roadways and sidewalks safe for motorists and pedestrians, but just when they get ahead, we get more rain followed by low temperatures. It's also creating issues with the stormwater system as ditches and culverts become so full of ice they're unable to fill their intended purpose. The challenge now is to determine if this is a long-term trend that needs to be addressed or an atypical winter that we need to slug through. A reminder that the crew provides a pile of sand outside the Public Works Complex gates on 95 Patrick Street for the personal use of town residents. I am happy to report that we have finalized the agreement with the Regional Service Commission with the Regional Development Corporation with regards to funding for the Bar Road rehabilitation through the Rural and Northern Communities Infrastructure Fund. Engineering will take place over the winter with tendering and council approval in the early spring, aiming to have the work completed by June 30th. We are also processing ahead with the design phase of the budgeted water and sewer projects for spring construction. The new dog tags are in, and we have noticed a sharp decline in the number of individuals coming in. I'll remind residents that it's important to license your pets in case they break free, but also to ensure all animals are being given the rabies vaccine in order to ensure the safety of dogs and people alike. The bylaw enforcement officer is proactively enforcing the dangerous and unsightly premises bylaw. This is in place to address safety issues, but also to prevent the collection of rubbish and junked items on the properties that are within the town's jurisdiction. If you have questions, feel free to contact the town office. Under Finance and Administration, the Regional Service Commission is looking to partnership with Opportunities New Brunswick to produce a regional strategy for growth. At the same time, Council is looking to recruit citizens for a growth committee to look not just at population, but economic opportunities as well. And as a side note, we're still looking for people, and we'll probably make an effort to try to find some more volunteers to fill this committee. Staff are making initial inquiries with potential funding partners for the Wharf and Market Square projects. Once we have collected the facts, we'll come to Council to present our findings and await instruction on moving forward. We foresee that if Council decides to proceed with the work, it'll be in the mid-fall before construction would begin. It's respectfully submitted, Chris Spear, Acting Chief Administrative Officer.
Appreciate that. Council has had an opportunity to read all of the other staff reports. I guess I would just inform people, as I try to do every once in a while, that staff report in every month through the CAO, and Council has access to all of the staff reports, and once we approve all of the staff reports, there was a time when we read them all out, which made for very long meetings, but they will all be available every month once they're approved at Town Hall. So if anyone wants to read individual reports of any individual departments, those are available to the public. I'll look for a motion now to approve the staff reports. Deputy Mayor Henderson, thank you, and Councillor Akaji, thank you very much. If there aren't any other comments, all in favor of approving the staff reports, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, so the staff reports are approved. We'll go back to the agenda, and now we're at the point where we are going to be looking at the introduction, consideration, and passing of bylaws and motions, and we'll move to Councillor Bishop, responsible for Finance and Administration.
Okay, the first item is FA 180902B. It's a bylaw 18-04, a bylaw respecting remuneration of council. Can people hear me? No. Okay, I'm going to speak up. The background is bylaw 18-04, a bylaw respecting remuneration of council, was introduced for first reading at the December 10th, 2018 meeting of council, and for second reading at the January 14th, 2019 meeting of council. And the motion. I move that bylaw number 18-04, a bylaw respecting remuneration of council, be read a third and final time.
Can I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Grew, thank you. Comments, Councillor? I wanted to just raise one thing now that we're into discussion that Mr. Spear brought to my attention this afternoon, I think circulated to all of council, some comments that had been brought forward by our legal counsel in relation to that between second and third reading. None of those comments are of anything too drastic that would change the course that we've taken so far, I don't believe. But if it is council's pleasure, we could table this for 1 month and then give council the opportunity to possibly incorporate the comments of our legal counsel in the final draft of the bylaw. Council, I would need a motion to table it if that's council's wish. If not, I can call the question.
I will say I haven't had a chance to see his comments, so I make a motion to table it for 1 month.
Can I have a seconder? Councillor Grew, thank you, Councillor Grew. Any further comments about that? Again, that response was only received today, unfortunately. Councillor Grew?
I've had a chance to review them. It looks like the comments are very superficial. We're looking at clarifying the enactment date and ensuring that the deputy mayor doesn't claim a salary as deputy mayor and as a councillor.
Yeah. But yes, I think it's prudent for us to go forward and vote on the motion to table it for 1 month. All in favor of tabling it for 1 month, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll table that till the March meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Bishop.
You're welcome. Next item. FA 190101, dated January 14th, 2019, submitted by Chris Spear, and the subject is check signing authority. Background. The current check signing authority with the Bank of Nova Scotia is mayor or deputy mayor and clerk/treasurer. With the departure of our CAO, it leaves the treasurer as the only member of staff who can sign. In case of the unexpected illness or disability, it leaves no one available for the required second signature. It is staff's recommendation to appoint Mary LeBlanc, accounting clerk, as the second signing officer, and the motion. Be it resolved that accounts in the name of the town of St. Andrews, hereinafter called the corporation, be kept at the Bank of Nova Scotia, hereinafter called the bank, and the mayor or deputy mayor, together with the clerk or accounting clerk, are hereby authorized for and in the name of the corporation to sign, make, draw, accept, endorse, and deliver checks, promissory notes, bills of exchange, orders for the payment of money, and such agreements and instruments as may be necessary or useful in connection with the operation of the said accounts. That any one of the above mentioned officers is hereby authorized for and in the name of the corporation to endorse and transfer to the bank for deposit or discount with or collection by the bank, but for credit of the corporation only, checks, promissory notes, bills of exchange, orders for payment of money, and other instruments, to arrange, settle, balance, and certify all books and accounts with the bank, and to sign receipts and vouchers. That a signature card for all accounts of the corporation shall be signed by the above-mentioned officers, filed with the bank, and shall be in the following form: Doug Naish, Mayor, or Brad Henderson, Deputy Mayor, and Chris Spear, Acting Clerk, or Mary LeBlanc, Accounting Clerk. So we need a seconder for that.
Yes, can I have a seconder for that motion, please? Thank you. Councillor Grew, I saw first. Any comments in relation to that motion? I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the motion as written, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is passed.
Next item, FA 190102, dated January 28th, 19, submitted by Councillor Bishop, and the subject is Selection Committee. The background: with the resignation of the Chief Administration Officer and Council's desire to create a position for Town Clerk, a hiring committee should be established to initiate the process to fill those vacancies. And the motion is, I move that a selection committee for the Chief Administrative Officer and Town Clerk should be appointed with the following members, and 3 members are named: Mayor Doug Naish, Deputy Mayor Brad Henderson, and Councillor Guy Grew.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Grew, thank you. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question then. All in favor of the motion as read, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is approved.
Next item, FA 190103, dated January 7th, 2019, submitted by Chris Spear. And the subject, St. Stephen Education Centre Turnaround Achievement Awards. Background: the Anglophone South School District and the St. Stephen Education Centre hosts an annual Turnaround Achievement Award ceremony to recognize middle and high school students from Charlotte County for making significant changes in their life, either through academics, attendance, or behavior. They request a grant of $200 per pupil in support of this event, which will assist with the expenses involved in providing the event. Motion: I move that Council approve $400 disbursement to the St. Stephen Education Centre in support of the 2019 Turnaround Achievement Awards.
Could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Akaji, thank you. Comments, Council, on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question then. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none?
Your Worship, I'd like to abstain. Same as last year.
Okay, thank you. So we'll duly note that Councillor Gumichel abstains.
Just for clarity, Dr. Michelle, will you abstain, or were you declaring a conflict?
No, I'd like to abstain.
And just for the record, abstentions is included a vote in the positive?
Oh, well. Last year I abstained since Anglophone South School District, ASSD, is my employer. And although I think the awards are wonderful, I didn't think I should vote for it.
Okay, well that's,
So I believe I abstained the last 2 years, or 3. But,
okay, that's fine.
okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. FA 190106, dated January 28th, 2019, submitted by Councillor Bishop. The subject is the need for Campobello Island Ferry, and the background. The Council of the Town of St. Andrews recognizes that due to its unique geographical position, Campobello Island is isolated from the Canadian mainland, except passing through the States by private boat. Council also recognizes that due to its small population, Campobello Island has limited access to products, services, and employment opportunities. Town Council not only recognizes the importance of getting to the mainland by residents for equitable access to opportunities, but that access to Charlotte County would improve economic development opportunities for Campobello, as well as for the local New Brunswick communities who will meet the needs of businesses and citizens of the island. Council is being asked to provide a letter of support for the creation of a permanent ferry route from Campobello Island to mainland Charlotte County. The motion. I move that in order to support equal access to services, employment, and economic opportunities, the Mayor send a letter of support on behalf of Council to Minister Greg Thompson of the New Brunswick Government and Federal Member of Parliament Karen Ludwig for the establishment of a permanent ferry service from Campobello Island to mainland Charlotte County.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councilor Gumichel, thank you very much. Comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, if I could just voice my support for this particular motion for Campobello. As a rural community, it's important we work together to have a larger voice. I do feel, in addition to a letter of support, we should also be bold enough to express our deserving case of being a location or close to location for the ferry landing. With operating costs estimating around $1.9 million annually, the ferry, in addition to providing deserving islanders with access to their own country, also this money could be used for an economic development initiative. Over 100,000 Americans visit Roosevelt Cottage every year, and a ferry to St. Andrews might encourage them to continue their vacation into the rest of New Brunswick. We are a natural partner, as the Bay of Fundy, in my opinion, starts here, and it's an attractive destination to entice tourists to use the ferry service. There's also a natural comparison in Roosevelt Cottage to our Sir William Van Horn on Minister's Island estate. If we were able to lure 10% of Roosevelt's visitors, it would bring over 10,000 visitors to this region and NB annually. That would help our local economy.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Grew.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to echo the sentiments of the Deputy Mayor, because I think that there's a natural fit there between the St. Andrews tourist economy and Campobello Island. And it would also provide Campobello with a direct link to the mainland without having to take another ferry to get off Deer Island.
All right, thank you. Councilor Bishop.
I'd just like to say kudos to you, well put, but I think of the local people who live on Campobello Island especially. We can talk about tourism, and that's all really great, and economic things, development and things like that, and I think that's very important, but the people who actually live on the island and are trying to get off the island to live their normal lives, to get to appointments and work and everything else, I think that's really important, that they have a way that's to get off that island that's dependable, and they don't have to go through the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bishop. Well said. All right, I'm going to call the question now. All in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That looks to be unanimous. Thank you, Council, and I will carry out my duty and draft a letter, and I'll actually show it to all you guys. How's that? Thank you very much.
The next item. You ready for the next item? Okay, FA 190107, dated January 28th, 19, submitted by Councillor Bishop, and the subject is sponsorship for Paddlefest 2019. Background. Paddlefest has been the unofficial kickoff to summer for St. Andrews for over 20 years and is being held May 16th to 19th, 2019. In addition to musical performances and art displays, it also celebrates the environment through beach cleanups, environmental talks, paddling in the bay, and many more activities. It attracts visitors to the town during the shoulder season and provides an event for residents to come together as a community. The organizers are asking for the town to donate use of Market Square, which would classify the town as a major sponsor. This in-kind donation would have a value of approximately $700. And the motion. I move that the town of St. Andrews provide sponsorship to Paddlefest 2019 by providing in-kind use of Market Square.
Seconding this, please. Deputy Mayor Henderson, thank you. Any comments, Council?
Yes, Your Worship.
Yes, Councillor Grew?
I would like to amend the motion so that it reads that the town of St. Andrews provides sponsorship to Paddle Fest 2019 by providing in-kind use of Market Square in exchange for 6 event passes for town staff. Because our staff work very diligently, very hard. I think we're providing in-kind support. Normally with an event like this, if you're a sponsor, the sponsors get event passes. I think that we should take advantage of that and get event passes for the use of our staff.
At the risk of creating a Donnybrook here, does anybody else wish to comment on that proposal amendment? Deputy Mayor.
I was just wondering if we could leave the motion as stated, and Luke's a very reasonable guy. Maybe we just take that offline and see if he could help out a couple staff members if need be. I think we leave the wording as is and just support the festival and not do any kind of tide selling. It's just my thoughts.
I tend to agree, Councillor Grew. I appreciate the sentiment and I agree with you completely, but I don't think that's the place to do it. So I would prefer to go ahead with the motion as is and we'll take it to a vote. Yes?
Councillor Crew did put a motion forward to amend.
Okay.
So you have to at least ask if someone else would like an opportunity to second it.
To second Councillor Grew's motion.
I'll withdraw my motion, Your Worship.
Okay.
Make it easy.
Thank you, Councillor Grew. I appreciate that, but point well taken. Okay, all in favor of the motion as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is passed.
Okay, next motion, Your Worship. PS 170106. Subject is Wellness Center Location and Design. The background, one of the top priorities identified by Council early in their mandate was the completion of the Wellness Center enabled by a generous donation by the Dunn Foundation. After reviewing multiple options and taking into consideration public input, currently available space, the desire for a fitness center, and to allow most services within our allocated budget, the former call center space at the W.C. O'Neill Arena is deemed to be the most suitable location. Motion 1. Move that approximately 7,000 square feet of space from the former call center and visitor information center be designated as space for a wellness center. Approximately 5,000 square feet of this space from the visitor information center and former call center be designated as space for a medical center, and approximately 2,000 square feet in the former call center be designated as a fitness center.
Thank you, Councillor Grew. Can I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Harrison, thank you. Comments, Council? Councillor Gumichel.
Your Worship, at committee last week, I asked that we table this motion, and I didn't have a seconder. We didn't have, not everyone was here that night. I must admit, I thought we were going to have a presentation from staff tonight on the options as per the email that we got, but I guess that was just for council's deliberation. In talking to people around town, to explain why I'd like to table it, as I talked to people on the street about putting the wellness center in the old arena, as much as I'd like to see the old arena repurposed, the response that I seem to get is that people aren't, Joe Public on the street isn't that keen on it. So I think if we're going to repurpose the arena, which I think we should, I'm not sure that that everyone would agree that the medical center should go into the arena. I think that at the public session that we had upstairs on that Saturday morning, which was well attended, that the arena, the call center did not make the list as one of the top choices. And even though there are lots of arguments as to why it should be there, I think at this point we should put it out to the public that we're down to just a couple of options and look for more public feedback or another public consultation we were down to 1 or 2 options versus the 5 or 6 we had at the time. So, Your Worship, I would move that we table this at this time, just even for a month, just to kind of slow down a little bit.
Okay.
So we get it right.
Thank you, Councillor Gumichel. Councillor Gumichel is proposing that we table this motion. I would need a seconder from council to table. Okay, Councillor Bishop has seconded the motion. Any other comments on the motion to table the motion?
We'll go back to comments on the motion and the decision table, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if there are no other comments on Councillor Gumichel's seconded motion to table, then I'll call the question. All in favor of tabling this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 2? 4 to 2. Well, it appears that we're going to table this motion. You said for 1 month. We will attempt to bring.
Don't want to slow things down, just to give us an opportunity for more public input. We love to have lots of people at our meetings, but I think a lot of people tonight would like to speak to that, and they don't have the opportunity until question period at the end. And I think slowing it down for a month isn't going to be the end of the world.
Slowing it down.
Deputy Mayor?
Would council allow just, I know a lot of people came out tonight wanting to get more information and get some of council's insight. Would it be okay if I shared the thoughts that I wrote down for tonight just the same? Just because, again, a lot of people came out for it, and just to say we're going to talk about the medical facility and then table it and then say come back next month, it's just, I got to kind of feel for people that are wondering what's going on a little bit.
Well, I think that if since we tabled it, we should schedule something so everybody can come out in a public forum like we've done for many other things. And then the deputy mayor could bring forward all of his comments, as well as people from the public could bring forward their comments, and we can develop some kind of consensus.
Councillor Group.
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree with the whole notion of tabling it, simply because it will give an opportunity to all the people present here to write their letter to mayor and council, identifying where they stand with regards to the medical center. And it's one of these things is speak now or forever hold your peace. But I think it's important that we hear from the public. This is an important issue for the public. We did have a public consultation session earlier. People expressed a certain viewpoint. I think it's important now that the public sort of weigh in again to make sure that council gets the message loud and clear.
I think it will also give us an opportunity to present some financial information at that meeting that clearly is significant. Deputy Mayor, would you wish to make a comment? Councillor Grew was allowed to make a comment. You can.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'll try to make this shorter, but council, when we first got together, we met to talk about strategic priorities, and the 2 main infrastructure projects that we thought investment were needed was, of course, one was the arena roof, which was number 2 that we were lucky enough to get funds for. But the number 1 kind of, I guess, infrastructure project was a new medical facility. We have had public engagement. We've been talking about this now for 2 years. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions. I don't think there's any new information that will come out of public engagement sessions that you don't already know. Not everybody is going to like this location. Not everyone's going to like another location. But at some point, we have to face the music and make a decision. And again, public engagement, no disrespect to the process, but what I got out of the last one was people didn't want change at all, to be completely honest. Every session I went to, there was negative comments made about every single one of them. And as a council, sometimes we just have to get have a backbone and just make a tough decision. And to be honest with you, we've been talking about this for 2 years to people, and people are kind of wondering what's next. We keep telling them to come out, and then we table it. So it's just a little frustrating.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for those comments. The motion passed. We table it. We will go forward and pull together the next step. hopefully within the next 30 days.
I would draw from that, Your Worship, that motion number 2 is tabled as well, because it's related to motion number 1.
That we'll just take that off the table.
Pick a Saturday morning while everyone's here, perhaps the 23rd or the 16th.
First of all, everyone's not here.
Well, there's quite a few people here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's quite a few people, about yeah, about 40 out of 1,900 are here. Anyway, yes, we could do that.
This would be a good way to get the word out.
Mr.
There's
Spear?
2 more Saturdays in February.
Maybe just, we can work with staff tomorrow, so I don't want to, because there's only 1 or 2 facilities, we can actually hold this, so I just want to make sure that they aren't used up, but we'll make it a top priority. Maybe if council wants to give me a range of, if it has to be a Saturday, then give me a couple of dates, and I'll just make sure we're not crossing paths with the hockey tournament or something in order to schedule the facility.
Well, let's, suggestions, council, for a Saturday.
I'm gone the next 2 weekends.
Okay. Would like us all to be there if we can.
I would suggest, Your Worship, if we're going to bring this forward at the March meeting, it would have to be a Saturday in February.
Could it not be at night? Just wanted to-
It could be in the evening. I would suggest it would have to be in February if we're going to bring this forward.
Could we just do it by electronic submission or something?
No, I think we're going to have a face-to-face. That's my view of it anyway. So what's the, well, I have a calendar. There's February. What about the 23rd? Can we try that?
I'm away, Your Worship. 23rd.
Okay, well,
Somewhere warm.
If I just may suggest, we say the 23rd and then alternate date of the 26th, either because the facility isn't available. Well, it's Tuesday, that may not work.
But that would be after our committee meeting.
I know, but, and just, plus this time of the year, there's always a snow date, it's always good to have a
Right.
secondary date, but I'm open to
well, let's try that, and then we'll
The 20.
poll council to see who's available.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll tentatively set the 23rd of
thank you.
February.
Yeah,
Just a question, Your Worship.
Yep.
The format of this meeting, is it going to be sort of an arm-twisting exercise where we're trying to convince people to move into the call center, or is it going to be an information session and to hear back from the public where they think the medical center should go?
I find the problem is the public has no idea what could be in there. That's what happened last time. We just had a bunch of naysayers with we had no vision put forward, or your arm twisting. So the public will keep saying, oh, it used to be a bowling alley, or this used to be that. But really, I think we have to take the information we have and make a decision. But too late for that.
We're getting emails today from the physiotherapist today. Right? Like, not everybody is on the same page with what's going on. We're going to make a decision on it tonight, and we're getting emails today. So I think we just need to slow down a little bit and make sure that we get it right. That's all. I'm not saying it shouldn't be in the arena, or it should. I just think we just need to slow down a little bit.
we've made that decision. We're slowing down for a
Okay,
month.
great.
And we will have that opportunity to speak as council to determine how that's going to be presented and what kind of a meeting it's going to be. I tend to try to be in the middle here, but we'll have that opportunity. We'll be meeting.
One big issue seems to be the difference between what we need, perhaps, and what we want. Everybody wants lots of things, but what is it that we need? Do we need space for 2 doctors? Do we need space for a dentist? Do we need to include space for the physiotherapist? We're still hearing from them today. I don't think it would have been responsible to make that decision tonight. I'm glad we tabled it. I think that at this information session we should have some kind of a drawing. This is what it could look like, and invite people to come in. Maybe people will think it would work out great here in the arena, or maybe they think we should look at other options.
Your Worship, if I may, the vote was on location, it wasn't what was in it. I think that the next round would be public consultation to reach out, form a committee of experts that know all the different medical facilities and the services we need, and then have people come in and look at whatever facility we choose, see it with their own two eyes, and then come back and make their recommendations on what they feel. So as far as the physiotherapist, their letter concern was that they were part of it, and the option that we had on the table today that's been tabled was our largest square footage option. So as far as including the email today, that motion would have actually covered it as well.
And it's our only option where we're going to build a fitness center, which we don't have here.
But it's tabled.
It's tabled.
All right, folks, I'm going to call the discussion to the end here. We will move forward again, and we will be meeting as a council again next week, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to discuss that at that time as well, the format and whatnot. Thank you.
I suspect we'll get a few questions on this at the end. I'll just move forward.
Okay.
PS 170106A. Subject is Royal Canadian Legion, Passamaquoddy Branch Number 8. Background: the Royal Canadian Legion, Passamaquoddy Branch Number 8, has a long and proud history in the town of St. Andrews, serving as both a gathering place for the veterans of the area, but also a training facility for the local cadet corps. Because of declining membership and to reduce costs, the Legion is looking for space elsewhere. Council has been asked about available meeting space within our facilities. The motion: I move that the Royal Canadian Legion, Passamaquoddy Branch Number 8, be provided use of the dining room and a small storage room in the W.C. O'Neill Arena at no charge for their meetings and functions, including the cadets, under terms and conditions set by the Acting Chief Administrative Officer. The term of this agreement will be 1 year.
Can I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Akaji, thank you very much. Comments, Council? Okay.
I think it's really wonderful that we can provide some space here, at least on a temporary basis for 1 year. The present building is not feasible to use any longer, and I think it's just great to see the cadets being housed and being able to still have their meetings and training, and that the meetings for the Legion can still continue. Thank you.
I agree with Councilor Bishop that it is very important that we support our cadets and our Legion members.
Question, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried.
Next item. PS 170703. Subject is Police Protection Bylaw. Background: under the Local Governance Act 10 para 10 brackets 3, a municipality shall make bylaws respecting the provision of the service of police protection. In order to comply with the Act, the town should initiate the process to create the attached bylaw. The first reading of Bylaw 19-02 took place at the regular meeting of Council on January 14th, 2019. The motion: I move that Bylaw 19-02, a bylaw respecting the provision of police protection services in the town of St. Andrews, be read for a second time.
For that motion, Councillor Bishop, thank you. Any comments, Council? Otherwise, Councillor Greer.
Just for the benefit of the public, the town of St. Andrews has a municipal police services agreement. This bylaw is being put in place because the new Local Governance Act says we have to have a police protection bylaw. So all this bylaw does is reference the existing agreement we have. It in no way changes our police service. Everything is exactly the same. So this is just to satisfy the requirements of the new Local Governance Act.
Thank you, Councillor. If there are no other questions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That motion is passed, and I will then proceed to read for a second time the bylaw. It is relatively short, so I'll read the whole thing if you don't mind, rather than the titles. This is called the Town of St. Andrews Bylaw 19-02, a bylaw respecting the provision of police protection services in the Town of St. Andrews. The Council of the Town of St. Andrews, under the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, Section 10, subsection 3, and amendments thereto, hereby makes and enacts this bylaw as follows. 1. Title. This bylaw may be cited as the Police Protection Bylaw of the Town of St. Andrews. 2. Definitions. In this bylaw, unless the context otherwise requires, quote-unquote town means the Town of St. Andrews. Quote-unquote council means the council for the Town of St. Andrews. Quote-unquote agreement means the Municipal Police Service Agreement, MPSA, between the Town of St. Andrews and the Government of Canada for the provision of police protection services. Quote-unquote parties means the Town of St. Andrews and the Government of Canada. Quote, Police Act, unquote, means the Province of New Brunswick's Police Act, Chapter P-9.2, and regulations thereunder and amendments thereto. 3. Responsibility. It is the town's responsibility pursuant to the Local Governance Act, Section 10, subsection 3, and the Police Act in the Province of New Brunswick, Section 3, subsection 1, to provide and maintain police protection services within the town. 4. Authority. Through the resolution of Council dated 26th of March 2012, the Town of St. Andrews entered into a Municipal Police Service Agreement, MPSA, with the Government of Canada for the provision of policing protection services by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police as enabled by the Police Act and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Act, Section 20. Provision of Police Protection Services, Section 5. The town shall be policed by members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police under the terms of the MPSA 2012 in a manner consistent with the powers and duties of the Municipal Police Service. 6. Terms and conditions. A. The agreement shall be in full force and effective April 1, 2012 until either party gives notice of termination or upon expiration of the MPSA. B. The agreement may be extended or renewed for an additional period upon terms that are agreed by both parties. C. Notice of termination must be in writing and agreed and signed as per the notice requirements specified in the MPSA. D. The agreement cannot be modified, changed, or amended except by signed written agreement by both parties. E. The town shall also notify the Province of New Brunswick of a notice of termination of the agreement, and such notice shall include an alternate police services model as prescribed by the Police Act, which will be implemented by the town, and if applicable, proof of a contractual agreement. 7. Severability. If any part of this bylaw shall be held invalid, such part shall be deemed severable, and the invalidity thereof shall not affect the remaining parts of this bylaw. And 8. Effective date. This bylaw comes into effect on the date of final enactment thereof, read the first time this 14th day of January 2019, read the second time this 4th day of February 2019. Whew. Thank you.
Under Business, Tourism, Heritage, and Culture, reference number BTH C190104. The subject is the 2019 St. Andrews Farmers Market Agreement. The background reads, the St. Andrews Farmers Market has been a staple of the community since 1972. The Thursday markets from May to October provide a weekly event for locals and tourists alike and attract people to the downtown core. We are only asking for a one-year agreement until the long-term plans for the market square are decided. The motion reads, move that council approve the 2019 operating agreement with the St. Andrews Farmers Market Incorporated.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Grew, thank you. Any comments? There's, I take it there are no significant changes in this agreement over the previous agreements that have been signed?
Just a small rate increase.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, just to keep a note under Schedule B, that's basically it's the alternative plan. And as we look at Market Square and doing work down there, we really have to shore up staff. We'll probably have quite a few meetings there to really shore up what Plan B looks like, because we haven't really had to use it, but unfortunately and fortunately, we will have to use that if it's not this year. I'm hoping next year.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other comments, Council? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Great. Good. I think that's it. I didn't miss any this time, did I? Good. Yeah. Okay. Move back to okay, new business. I don't think we have anything under new business. We'll move to question period. Mr. Mann.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the public works staff for the excellent job they've done in snow plowing and snow removal and de-icing so far this winter. It's been absolutely terrific. With relation, with regard to the suggestion that the wellness center, health center, move into this space here, I'd like to know, Councillor Jumashel referred to that meeting that was very well attended, held in a Saturday last fall. At the end of that meeting, the public was given a sheet and asked to mark down their choice. I was wondering, will the council release the results of that survey to the public? It never has been released. And I was wondering if that would be released before the next meeting that was suggested.
Council will consider that. I hadn't thought about that. I wasn't, but yes, Council will consider doing that with one proviso. It's not a referendum. It's not votes. It's just it's a guidance. Yeah, sure.
To see what the choice of the people who attended that meeting was. My last question is, I noticed in the motion that the new wellness center was going to include this space here. I want to know what is the future plan for the VIC?
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I was actually, if it wasn't tabled, going to move that we amend it. I thought that it would be better if it said, basically I was going to change it to move that the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex be designated as space for a wellness center. The space would consist of the former call center area and also the visitor information center if required. In my mind, we kind of in our budget this year made a commitment to operate the visitor information center. So if that was going to be taken this year, it would be finding another suitable home for it within the community. There's other space within this, and of course, a big project like that could be done in phases where maybe the back half's done, this operates, and it goes. But by no means do I think that motion would have said there would have been no visitor information center.
I heard a rumor that the town is going to kill the visitor information center.
It was debated during budget time, but the decision was to continue to operate it for the 2019 season. So it's very much part of the plans for this year.
I think the VIC too can be put in a lot of places. I would hate to ever stall what could be a kind of first-rate fitness center / health center and various other things that would have this light all the way back for basically a bunch of racks of cards. And yeah, so I think if we go ahead with the health center, we shouldn't be held back by something like the VIC, which can be put in multiple locations. It's like a phone, a student, and rack cards.
Yeah, I just want to suggest that the fitness center and the wellness center don't need to be in the same place.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
If I could
Yeah.
comment
Yeah.
on the future of the Welcome Center. Of course, those of us in the business community want to see it carry on and far into the future. And there is more to it than a phone and a rack card and a student. There's a lot of interaction takes place, and one of the key elements of a VIC that this property has is parking. and it is a key element of a VIC.
I guess we'll disagree on what a VIC should be in this day and age.
Well, you don't have any skin in the game.
I've lived here for 10 years, and I think I have a lot of skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right now, the town's paying $40,000 a year for the VIC.
Money well spent.
No, it isn't.
Anyway, we won't debate that any further. Yes, next question.
Yes, I want to first introduce myself. I'm Brent McPherson. I'm Chair of the Campobello Development Year-Round Ferry Development Committee. And I also have one of the committee members with me tonight, Richard Mitchell. And we wanted to thank you for the motion tonight on behalf of the Islanders as well. We started this project over a year ago, and as you all know, we got a lot of press, including national press and et cetera, which has been great. Basically, we started first forming the committee, then we reached out to a consultant, Bob McIntyre from St. Andrews here. He came on board, did a lot of things without being paid a cent at first. Then we were not nonprofit status. So long story short, in meetings we had with the former MLA, Jamie, who was the president of the Chamber of Commerce in St. Andrews, basically the chamber passed a motion saying that they would submit the application. We got the dollars from ACOA, and then we proceeded with a survey of Islanders, which were done in phase 1. Just recently, we released phase 2 to the public, and we're very encouraged with tremendous support, and we have public support from the Member of Parliament, big time Karen Ludwig. Greg Thompson has recently said he's supportive, so we're very pleased. We're very pleased that the doors were open. As a committee, you're the first council passing this motion. We're hoping other councils, mayors and councils, which I'm in contact with, will pass motions as well as support, because the Islanders do deserve a direct link to Canada, and without going through the United States. Even the Prime Minister of Canada, in talk with Karen Ludwig, said, "Oh, the bridge that goes to the United States," and he was put back kind of by it. So we don't want this to be kicked back the can. We're asking all levels of government to act now, and that finally the Islanders will have the access to goods and services. Because nobody would realize Campobello is a beautiful, beautiful place, but the lack of services to the Islanders, and recently by the seasonal ferry not running last year, people have asked us, did you foresee that? I will answer that shortly. Yes, we kind of did, because it was a private operation, and definitely with now some possible influx of taxpayers' dollars to subsidize the year-round ferry, but the Islanders will have access. What is so much needed, I could go on and on, but I wanted to thank you tonight on behalf of the committee for this motion and the support on behalf of the Islanders of Campobello. Thank you.
Good.
May I speak on behalf of the Legion?
Certainly.
Thank you. Firstly, we are disappointed that the Legion property fell off the radar as a location for the health center. We thought our offer of that property for $1 was a pretty sweet deal. I don't know all the background. That might still be a possibility for discussion. But further to that, I'd like to thank Mayor and Council and the management team for offering space for the Legion to carry on for a year in this property. As you know, we've had a catastrophic failure of the wall at the back of the present Legion Hall. And this morning I went in to find that we also had a flood because we had a frozen pipe due to the catastrophic wall collapse. So it's unlikely that that property is going to be rehabilitated. But again, thank you very much on behalf of Comrade Jim and the other members for your generous offer to see us through the next 12 months, during which we will no doubt determine what the future of the Legion is going to be in the long term. My only other comment, get a PA system. Have you heard anything, Jim? Have you heard anything?
Point well taken there. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
No,
this is the president of the Navy League for the Royal Canadian Sea Cadets. I appreciate the fact that you've given us a space that we can use that's large enough for the cadets to do their parading and prepare for their ACR in May. It's also large enough for them to do their practicing with their shooting. So just from myself and from all the cadets, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we'll be in touch to touch base with where the storage room will begin.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Mary.
I find it kind of interesting, but also offensive that Councillor Harrison doesn't think people in the town of St. Andrews know what this space is all about. That's your turn. Now it's your turn, Brad. You made the statement that we were looking for a location. When it came up, we need this, we need that, we need something else. But then you said, we'll bring in the experts. Well, who's going to use the buddy police? It's the experts, the town people. You don't have to bring outsiders in to tell us how to live.
If I may respond to that, Your Worship.
Yes, you can.
The experts that I refer to are people actually that live in the community, that have physiotherapists, that are doctors and stuff like that, because this council, not speaking for everyone, doesn't have the knowledge to know exactly what everyone needs. So at some point you need to bring community members in that live in it, that'll actually be able to tell us, this is how many examining rooms we need, this is how many physiotherapy
You
rooms.
said that in the first place.
I was
wouldn't have said that.
I was trying to keep it short. I actually have a bunch written down, but
You
since it was
did,
tabled,
yeah.
I tried to be respectful this evening.
And the mayor, I asked you today what prompted this location, and you said, come to the meeting and you'll find out. I still don't know the answer.
Well, you'll have to come to the next meeting to find out because it's been tabled. No, I don't mean to be facetious, but yes, there is more information, and we will provide that.
We need all the information.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Bits and pieces.
No, not bits and
Thank you,
pieces.
sir. I won't pick on
Don't
you
get me
guys.
wrong, I drove to the gym in St. Stephen for years, love to see a gym, but
Oh, I know, I understand that.
I'm not sure.
But what
that-
do we need?
Yeah, so just-
Not a VIC.
Just putting it off for a while, and we can do
And
it.
the VNs for sale.
Soft reset.
Just
You put a VIC there.
there, I just can't resist. I have to make one last comment.
All right.
What we need is one thing. What we can afford may be something completely different. So we all have to take that into account, and that information will be brought forward.
Wellness center, fitness center, is it supposed to be all the same, or is it two different things?
Fitness, I think, was more of a gym idea, and then the wellness would be the doctors and the physios and the,
And health center, too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or wellness?
Yeah, kind of what our health center is now would be the wellness center,
You're
I
calling
think.
that the wellness center?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the fitness would hopefully get a gym in the town.
Yeah, I
And
realize that.
yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was three things.
Thank you, everyone. If there are no further comments, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Your Worship.
Yes.
Sorry, he skipped over the councillors and mayor's comments.
Oh, I thought we
As much
just
as I'd
did,
like
I
to
thought we
get out
just
too,
did that. All right, I'll do that. I'll go around the table. Anybody have a comment? I won't go around the table. Do you have further comments on anything? Go ahead, Councillor Griff.
Quick one, I'd like to thank everybody here for coming out. I think it's important, and it's a real boost to us when we see the townspeople participating in our democracy, and we look forward to seeing you here more often. Thank you. Seeing you here more often.
Seeing, not hearing.
I said that loud enough.
I thank the people for coming out. I getting on the tail end of this council. Look forward to the comments being told to me, and I like hearing about Campobello Island. It's always been a dream of mine to drive from there other than on a sailboat, but to actually have a ferry that comes to St. Andrews that we can journey back and forth. For St. Andrews, it would be a nice tourism thing too, but it's also to visit the people. Sorry. I have a cold, so it's very hard for me to speak up, but Jim, I just said to thank you for coming and to thank the island people for their participation in trying to get a ferry here. I'm sure you remember the ferry years ago. I don't. I'm a little younger than that, but I look forward to riding on it should it happen. And I look forward to learning more about where our wellness fitness center will be, and hopefully with the Legion. Thank you.
Actually, echo Mr. Mann's comments. We'll do it the other way. In regards to Public Works, the ice that we've had this year, it's been a very difficult year. And anyone that drove around in any of these storms see our Public Works crew literally, I would say, over their knees deep in water trying to make sure that your front lawn doesn't flood. And I know it's their job, but to be completely honest, it seemed like it was storm after storm after storm. And Terry and Nathan and the whole crew, their commitment to making sure that this town is everything it is. I don't think if you travel to other towns, I don't think a lot of us realize how good we have it in this community with them, and it's exceptional work. And then the last thing is I just want to acknowledge that Dr. Peer is here. Dr. Peer has volunteered to help with kind of the next phase of a medical or wellness center, and as well actually help us try to recruit a second doctor. So I know you're waiting a response from council. I'm looking forward to discussing kind of the next steps to basically do at the end of this. We may be having a little trouble getting there, but one thing's for sure is that an improvement to our medical services in this town is needed, and when we do get there, it's going to be a very good thing. So thanks for your commitment and making sure that that happens to this community.
Speaking of the ice, I think Mr. Spear and I bought 5 truckloads of salt just in the last 30 days, so 150 tons.
$2,000 a load?
Yeah. So anyway, I can attest to that. I keep track of it because I have to write the checks. That's anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for coming out, and I'll look for a motion now to adjourn. Thank you, Councillor Akaji, and a seconder. We're adjourned. Thank you.